caught me off guard. Greetings everyone. Apologies, I won't be able to join you in the chat because this is going to be kind of intensive, but please record what you're about to see, because this is the kind of thing that when I've shown this kind of thing before, YouTube will just blot the video. So just bear with me. It's about the sun being a holoprism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, just bear with me, I'm going to show you a series of videos of the sun. For those who call themselves realists, you have to deal with the real world as it really is, not as some idea of what it is, which means you ignore the real world. That's what the globe does. The globe thinks it's a globe and it ignores the fact that it isn't. You know, the fact that you can see things that are way too distant to be seen on a globe. So you have to deal with the real world as it actually is. Anybody who's studying the world through studying the celestial lights first, it's an interesting thing, but it's not really going to tell you anything about the shape of the actual world. So bear that in mind. Studying the physical surface, the water, the mountains, the distances, that's what's going to tell you whether the Earth is a sphere or not. The study of the skylights is just interesting, and it leads to something very different. It leads you to a closer understanding of reality, including consciousness. Okay, so here we go. I hope this works. Yeah, here we go. What we're going to watch is the sun as a holoprism, and we're going to pay attention to when it drifts either left of center or towards the right of center. And we're going to notice how it goes up and down because it should go up and down very smoothly, and it should not drift left or right at all. It does drift, as you'll see, but pay attention. I'm showing this one first because this one shows the most clearly that it's a holoprism, but I have a kicker. No audio, I'm just going to play it, while I drink my coffee. See the wobble? Okay. And from time to time I'm going to drag the cursor so we see this circular object on the screen to see just how far off center it is, and then comes back to center. I'm going to show a series of these. The camera is on a mount that's scrolling at 15 degrees per hour, so the sun should stay in the center of the frame for all of that time. It doesn't, as we see. And these, let me pause it here, all of these circles that we're seeing, we would not see those with our eyes because we don't have the processing system that the camera has. The camera picks these up, but the camera does not pick these up and they're not there to be picked up. The camera picks them up because they're there. We just don't see them. It's tubes, but the camera is much more sophisticated. So the camera can pick them up. Okay, let's look at this one. And I give thanks to all the uploaders. I'm showing these for educational purposes. Please don't issue a copyright strike, but if you do. Okay. And this is what I mean about actually dealing with the real world as it is. This is Antarctica. This is the McMurdo station in Antarctica. Let's watch.
It's the middle of summer. Check the time at what, just after 12 o'clock. It's 12 o'clock midnight though.
12 o'clock midnight. The sun does make circles around Antarctica too. That's to say, it remains above the horizon whilst it makes the circle. It's not, this isn't CGI, although they have created CGI videos in the past. This is not CGI, and I'll show you how you can determine this whilst we watch it. There are several. The first videos I saw of the 24-hour sun were from Argentinian base. What we're going to do here is we're going to again use this to monitor the sun, how it drifts to the left and to the right of centre. You can see it's to the right of centre. Now it's centred. Now it's drifted to the left of centre. So when globe believers say it scrolls across the sky at 15 degrees per hour, no it doesn't. When flat earthers say it scrolls across the sky at 15 degrees per hour, no it doesn't. Deal with the real world, not with your ideas of the real world, but with the actual real world. You have to, any model, any theories, anything that you're developing about the real world have to be based on the actual real world, not on ideas of it. Okay, let's watch that again. This is a legit video, this is not CGI. So the fact that the sun drifts to the left or right of centre means it's accelerating and slowing. There's only one flat earth model that explains this, and that's mine. And it's not by just being a genius, it's by actually dealing with the world as it actually is. You know, this is what the sun does. We have to deal with it. And when you start looking at how it might do this, then you start seeing things that you think, oh my God, wow. And then you write another book. And that's what I've done. So apart from dealing with reality, which everybody has to do if they're going to be making videos about it, not dealing with things like this because they break your model means that everybody who's paying attention to anything you produce is going to think that you're just talking nonsense. Then if you're a legit person who happens to be talking nonsense because you've been misled, quit for a while, look at the world, and then deal with it as it actually is. Now I'm going to, I think that's it. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you this, 1 second. Some more. You're going to see it drift to the left and to the right. Oops.
April in the Arctic.
Let me take the audio off because that would definitely get me a copyright strike. Now this video is looped, but I do have others that are not looped. That's the cut, okay? So we see it's drifted slightly to the right of centre. Watch the wobble. Ooh, 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 ooh. Okay, that's when it's travelling over a specific region of Earth. The main beam, of which this is a small portion. And looped again. So I'm not going to carry on showing it because it's, well, looped. Now, I'm going to show you this. This dude is brilliant, okay? I don't think he's a flat earther, but he's a realist and he's dealing with the real world. And this one I'm going to play with audio. So just pay attention.
Let's do this. She did have a chart on a tripod, but it was windy, she said. That's why we're shaking all around. What do we have? Don't worry, we're going to reverse it. I see 2. I see a 3rd. Oh my God. Can we zoom in on that? Okay, let's go back and rewind from the beginning. Okay, first off, we got 1 very faint into the clouds. We got a second one drawing up as we zoom in. We got a second one, and then a 3rd. Now, what I want you to notice is the authenticity of it, because if the secondary ones that showed first were a reflection off the bright one, they wouldn't be visible until the bright one was visible. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how lens flares work. The brightest thing on the lens will create the flare. Well, if the brightest one is covered up by clouds and the smaller, dimmer ones further off are visible, then they're not reflections off the primary one. Do you see what I'm saying? Let's watch this. This is amazing. This is the video of 2020, guys. That's why I said, look at that. Look at the first one as we zoom in. Look at the first one. Number 2. Here we go. Zooming in. 2. Number 3. And look, as the brightest one is bright, the other ones blend into the clouds. They are there. And then as they all come out, they fuse into this huge white glow where you can't see individual entities, just one huge glow with a weird rustic halo around it. Truly, truly amazing. Let's watch.
Oh, wait.
One more time.
Yeah, let's.
As you can see, the little dim one's already up there. Quite windy, as you can see how quickly the clouds are moving. As she zooms in, you see the secondary one. As it goes into the clouds, the primary one. So what I'm saying is they're getting engulfed by clouds. In the process, as the main one shows up, it cannot be reflection. This is the real deal banana peel. Now check this out.
Okay, enough. And now, watch this. And you'll start to understand why I say the sun is a holoprism. We experience the result of electrical charges interacting, generating what we observe through prisms. The prisms are made of tubes. What are these tubes? Gaussian beams. Vertical Gaussian beams traversed horizontally by either airy beams or I forget. Just keep watching, you'll see. Actually, let me rewind first. You see the sun right there? Look at how it looked at the start. Okay? That's the sun. That there. Wow. Not very bright. It's actually a reflection on beams. We don't see the beams. Sometimes cameras pick up the beams. And this is going to show you very clearly. There are very exceptional circumstances where we will see the beams, we will see the tubes as parhelia. We will see these sundogs, we will see these curved beams illuminated. That's what the sun is. It's a junction, it's a nexus But just keep paying attention. You'll see the filaments. And you have to remember, this is at a very high altitude where there's a lot less interference. So the filaments are all the way up to the point where the charge changes completely. You can see the filaments quite clearly there. It's obviously not the effect of the camera. And you can see what people might think is a lens flare. It's like, nah, that's not how a lens flare behaves. Just keep watching. I hope you're recording this, because it just wouldn't surprise me at all if this was blocked after transmission. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if I went and looked on my channel and this transmission had been stopped, like happened before. Yeah, that's the same sun. That's not atmosphere that's suddenly diffusing it. That's why I said, this is at high altitude. And you can see what's actually the result of particles on the camera compared to things that are not the result of particles on the camera, but are just where filaments reach the screen. And you can see that a very distinct line where suddenly everything to the right there is not quite so clear. Can you see how the sun is a holoprism? And when you understand that it's a holoprism, then thinking about, look at the filaments, thinking about how it makes a circle around the south, around the outer circle, is not so inconceivable. So you might now question why there are flat earth charlatans pushing the AE map with a sun that makes circles between the tropics, when that is entirely misleading, and they have information, they have access to the same information I do. They have access to these too. They just choose not to discuss these because they show that those guys are charlatans. And please don't think that the charlatans like the David Weisses of the world are in this game just to make some money. They're in this to defame it. By the way, the book is about what the filaments are. See that very clear dark line? And just think, there are people who try to measure the distance to that, as if that was different to measuring the distance to a rainbow. It's like, wow, the world has gone so astray. And we see it now with other things in mainstream media. Look at the glorious filaments. and I'll show you the end of this. I recorded this from Facebook because it was the kind of thing that disappears. Now, just give me a second. Where do I have it? Just give me a sec. I hope I was showing what I thought I was showing. Gee, dagnabbit. God, if I wasn't. I have something else. Just a second. Right, close this. Just bear with me, folks. Yeah. Okay. Close this. Right. So, this is on my Patreon. You can go and get this. You don't have to donate or become a patron. You can just go and get this. When the sun speeds up, so when we were watching the sun making the circles and it drifts to the left of center or to the right of center, depending which hemisphere you're looking at or which direction you're looking at. When it speeds up is when it goes over this region. You see how I have the longitudes very splayed? These are the longitudes, folks. They're splayed. Okay. Now, if you were there, would you see it zoom across the sky? No. You have to remember, your horizon is 4 miles to the left and right of you if you're at sea level. Okay. So no, you don't see anything like that. I explain this in the book anyway. When the sun does the little zigzag, is when it's going over this region. But what's illuminating, what's causing the flare, this combination of electromagnetic charges with static charges, this combination of two distinct types of charge is what presents the sun. It's a singular thing. We don't have something else we can say, oh yeah, no, the sun is like this thing. It's like, no, there's nothing else we can compare it with. So, when it does the wobble, is when it's going over this region where the array is distorted. When it slows down is when it's going over this region, which is why this region is so balmy compared to this region. You think the temperature would be about the same, right? No, nothing like about the same. So this is available for you guys. Take it, look at it. If you want to sit and draw the latitudes, go ahead. I've given you everything you need there. You've got the Antarctic Circle, the Arctic Circle, the tropics and the equator. Okay, now let me, yeah, thankfully I am streaming what I thought I was streaming. Okay, now folks, let me make that, there. Go to my Patreon, download the maps. There's that map right there. Further down, there's a couple of folders that you'll find, and download them, play with them. But bear in mind, your observations of the sun are always only going to be local. That's why it's so great when people launch things like high altitude balloons, because they give you a view that you're not going to otherwise have. And you can see things like the filaments very clearly, like the nexus. You can see it, it's a nexus point, it's a focal point. It's dismaying to see people think of the sun as an object in the sky. Now, our experience of it is as if it was an object, but it isn't. Not unless a rainbow is an object. Not really an object, it's a phenomenon. Not all things in existence are objects. So that's it. I'm gonna bail. I'm gonna let you get on with your day. But I will say this: I hope you videoed this. I hope the transmission went out okay. I hope it doesn't get blocked. It's already been brought to my attention that comments evaporating, links that people are trying to pass me, they're not going into the wait for review part. They're just gone. So this channel is being pretty well monitored. Yeah, and I can understand why. I don't agree with it, of course, but you know, you have to understand why people do the things they do. And there's a bit of fear and there's a bit of trepidation, you know, with what's going to be shown. The guy that shows the 3 suns, that's 3 places on the same arc, the same beam that's being crossed over by beams. It's all beams, guys. It's all beams, and they're all filamentary. What are the filaments made of? Yes, so please pay attention that you've not been unsubscribed from my channel. If you are subscribed, hit the notification bell so that you receive notifications, although there's no guarantee. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you all again soon. I wish I'd had time to be in the chat, by the way.